tere tulemast Põhjamaade infopäevale siin Rahvusraamatukogus. Meil on väga-väga hea meel näha, et Põhjamaadel on nii palju sõpru Eestis. Siin on kogunenud lausa üle 100 inimese, kes on registreerunud. Meie tänane Põhjamaade Ministrite Nõukogu infopäev on ka plaanis salvestada. Sellest tehakse ka otseülekanne meie Põhjamaade Ministrite Nõukogu YouTube'i kanalil ning salvestust on siis hiljem võimalik vaadata Põhjamaade Ministrite Nõukogu esinduse kodulehel oleva lingi kaudu. Kutsun siia siis Põhjamaade Ministrite Nõukogu infopäeva avasõnadeks Põhjamaade Ministrite Nõukogu esinduse direktori Maria Gratschewi. I'm inviting here Maria Gratschew, the director of Nordic Council of Ministers office in Estonia.
Thank you so much, Madis, for that. And very, very welcome, everyone, to this information day. The Nordic Council of Ministers, we organize these information days every year. And we have two purposes every time. One is to give a short presentation of this year's presidency of our organization, which is this year Denmark and the Faroe Islands. But we also want to present our work, and in particular our support and grant programs. That's what we are doing today. But again, a very, very warm welcome also to this building, which hasn't really opened yet. And so we are particularly pleased that we can be here and enjoy the beauty of the building as it will continue its small sort of final renovations to open next year. It's the first time that we are here as well, so good times. We are going to, we have a not a very long program today, but it's still packed. Everything that you will be hearing will come in sort of relatively short and sweet packages and messages. But I would also like to say that once we finish, there will be coffee and sandwiches, and colleagues from my office will be available for consultations. So everyone who's interested in a particular support program, for example, the NGO program or the program for the mobility program for civil servants or the cultural programs or Prosperous Future, anything like that, then my colleagues will be available for more sort of in-depth questions during coffee, so that everyone can have the opportunity to ask questions and discuss and look into some of the more nitty-gritty. We will, in a few minutes, we will be moving to the support programs and talk about that. But first, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that we are celebrating, we have a big birthday this year. We turn 35 years here in Estonia. We opened our office on the 31st of January, 1991. So in just a little more than a week, it's our official anniversary. We are celebrating that with a absolutely wonderful lecture by a Finnish philosopher, Esa Saarinen. Some of you might have heard of. If you have not yet signed up for that event, then hurry up. That's on the 2nd of February, so in about a week. Be there or be squared. It's that philosopher offers inspiration enough for a lifetime, so I can highly recommend it. 35 years ago, when our office was opened, it was actually opened by a Danish minister, Minister Pedersen. I'm looking at our Danish ambassador, wondering if he's still active in politics. I think he might be slightly to the elderly side at this point. We also opened with the Estonian State Minister Raino Vare, and that was in January 35 years ago. And this year's presidency of our organization, Denmark and the Faroe Islands, closes that circle very nicely with our anniversary. We will, in a minute, hear a little bit more from the Danish ambassador to Estonia, who will say a few words about this year's presidency program. It is a program by Denmark and the Faroe Islands. But looking out in the world today, I chose to not just wear the Danish colors, but also those of Greenland. With that, I would like to welcome the Danish ambassador to Estonia to give us a little more information about this year's presidency program. As you know, this event is live streamed, so as I said, we do questions after. Should there be questions, just let us know and we can also compile them. But now, Ambassador Boel Abrahamsen, the floor is yours, dear Niels.
Tusind tak. Thank you so much, Maria. And congratulations on your birthday. I mean, 35 is a great age. I wish I was still 35. So, but it's good to be here among friends in Tallinn today and to have a chance to speak a little bit about our presidency of the Nordic Council of Ministers. Last year was a busy year for us. We had the presidency of the European Union, which we passed on to Cyprus. We also had the chairmanship of the NB8, the Nordic Baltic Cooperation, which we passed on to Estonia, and we are looking forward to your leadership here in 2026. We are still doing the presidency of the Arctic Council. It's a little difficult these days due to the compilation of the membership of the Arctic Council, but we are still doing that. And then, in addition, we are now this year doing the Nordic Council of Ministers. But also the Nordic cooperation on foreign policy and security policy, which is outside the Nordic Council of Ministers and is usually referred to as the N5. Today we'll speak about the Nordic Council of Ministers, so I will not go into the security and foreign policies of the N5. But of course, some of the issues are related because a lot of the work we do in the Nordic Council of Ministers is also supporting the ambitions and goals we have in the foreign policy field. But without further ado, let me then turn to the Nordic Council of Ministers. I would like to start by thanking you for the opportunity to say a few words about our priorities, and those are the priorities of Denmark and, as Maria said, of the Faroe Islands presidency of the Council of Ministers. Now, our presidency will build on the many projects already initiated under the remarkable Finnish presidency, which was also the presidency of Åland, and we will ensure to do what we can to provide continuity and concrete results. We will also carry forward several of the key priorities from the Danish EU presidency, recognizing the strong overlap between European, Nordic, and also Estonian interests in the current geopolitical context. The Nordic countries, as well as Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, share a deep-rooted commitment to democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. In recent years, our cooperation has grown steadily closer, shaped by shared security challenges, economic interdependence, and a common responsibility for our regional stability. Against this backdrop, the Nordic states rely on dialogue, experience, and expertise from you, our Baltic neighbors, to strengthen our joint solutions. Demographic changes and increasingly complex needs place new demands on the Nordic countries as well as the Baltics' welfare systems. And at the same time, there is a great potential for our countries to work together to bolster overall resilience, innovation, and sustainability. And therefore, our three main priorities for the 2026 presidencies are resilience and preparedness, Nordic competitiveness, and equal participation in the Nordic cooperation for the Faroe Islands, Greenland, and Åland. And those of you who are familiar with our EU priorities will recognize that the two first, the security and competitiveness, are roughly the same. Let me first address the last priority then, the Helsinki Treaty. At the 2024 session of the Nordic Council in Reykjavik, the Nordic Council members unanimously recommended that their governments update the treaty. Since then, the Ministers for Nordic Cooperation have initiated a review to map out the legal issues. This concerns the implications under constitutional law, EU law, and international law, the consequences of reopening the Helsinki Treaty. It is an important step along the way. And just next month, the Finnish professor conducting the review will present her conclusions to the Nordic Ministers for Cooperation. Following up on this work will be a key priority for us during our presidency. The Helsinki Treaty was last updated in 1996, and many things have happened in the last 30 years. Therefore, it is only natural that we now update the agreement to reflect our worldview today and tomorrow. And not least, that the Helsinki Treaty in the future will reflect the fact that our Nordic cooperation consists of 8 countries. We will work towards establishing a commission that can suggest concrete amendments to the Helsinki Treaty. In addition, we will propose a guideline for the Commission's work. This was one priority. Another key priority is Nordic competitiveness. In our region, we have repeatedly demonstrated that we are stronger when we think and work together. This is particularly true in uncertain times. However, it requires that no one is left behind and that cooperation is open and outward-looking. This logic also applies to our economies. To withstand future crises, we must work together, including with our Baltic partners, to ensure that our economies are resilient. Mario Draghi's report on EU competitiveness has shown that European competitiveness is lagging behind. Our region has the necessary conditions to lead the way in creating a stronger and more competitive Europe, while also focusing on green, digital, and sustainable Nordic region. We must future-proof the region's position as the world's 10th largest economy in close cooperations with our neighbors in the Baltic area. Our existing cooperation already demonstrates the value of this approach. And looking ahead, we must continue development and cooperation in the Nordic region, focusing on economic reforms of the labor market and improving the regulatory framework for the Nordic companies. To support this work, we have initiated the preparation of a report on Nordic competitiveness, inspired by Mario Draghi's report on EU competitiveness. This report will be presented at a conference focusing on exactly the Nordic competitiveness in October in Copenhagen. The presidency will also seek to expand the number of equal partnerships with the Baltic states and offer participation in additional areas of the Nordic Council of Ministers. Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania have already been invited to be an integral part of the work of the Nordic Council of Ministers for digitization, which addresses political and operational issues and joint opportunities and challenges in the digital field, where, of course, Estonia has a remarkable leader position. The title of our presidency program, Connected in Changing Times, reflect our third key priority, resilience and preparedness. In light of the global security situation and the tensions in the Baltic Sea region, the Nordic Council of Ministers is working increasingly closely with the Baltic states, as well as with the civil society in Ukraine and the dissident movement in Belarus. In this context, we see clear opportunities to deepen the cooperation between our countries, building on the Baltic states' strong experience in preparedness and hybrid resilience. The presidency will also work with Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania in the Nordic Council of Ministers for Culture to strengthen contingency planning in the cultural sector. Nordic cooperation must be equipped to withstand future crises. That is why we build upon the strong foundation laid during the Finnish and Åland presidencies. Crisis preparedness and resilience have become defining priorities of our time. Developments in recent years clearly show that, and could I add, in recent days. So resilience covers many areas, from critical infrastructure, sustainable food production and health issues, to preparedness for hostile threats, especially in the Baltic Sea region, which we share. The Nordic Prime Ministers have therefore launched a process in the Nordic Council of Ministers to societal security. Earlier this year, the Prime Ministers met and adopted a joint declaration on strengthening cooperation on crisis preparedness and resilience. The declaration focuses on increasing resilience by cooperating on strengthened national and regional preparedness. All sectors of society are involved in this work. Through cooperation, we build mutual trust, a prerequisite for both ensuring resilience and effective crisis management. This is not just about systems and physical infrastructure in the face of geopolitical challenges, pandemics, and cyber threats. It is also, and perhaps most importantly, about people's ability to stand together, to help each other in times of crisis, and maintain hope for a better shared future. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear Niels, for that, and for this year's presidency, of course. Very much looking forward to this year, and with that, we also say, as the ambassador just did, thank you to Finland and the Åland Islands for their presidency of last year. We also have Estonia, actually chairing the informal network of the NB8 countries this year. So that's, of course, something that we also take great pride in here in Estonia. Many things going on, and that's just the way it should be. But again, very welcome to this information day. As we turn 35 years, I would like to just say a few words about where we are today, and also where we're coming from. It's been quite the journey to sort of look back, and incredibly interesting to also see where we are headed. I know that there are some persons here in the room who were around when we were established. I know that a couple or so from my own team were around, but I think also some of the guests who are here. Back 35 years ago, when we were founded, things were very different. Estonia had just come out into the newly regained independence, 1991, a big and important year, not just for Estonia, but for all of Europe. And we established an office, and very much with the objective from the Nordic side to support Estonia on this journey. And it was, of course, not just Estonia. We established an office in Latvia and one in Lithuania as well. And with the same objectives, supporting these countries with, rebuilding structures, ministries, organizations, ensuring a free media, the NGO developments, and what have you. This is very practical stuff, and today perhaps the words used would have been more related to development assistance when we look at what was the cooperation back then. Our office was also physically very, very different. It was very much an information office. It was a library. We had bookshelves with literature about the Nordic countries, and we had advisors who were able to answer questions and consult on different topics. We also had one of the first phone lines with an international sort of line. It was one of these really old, big, bulky Ericsson phones. You know what I mean? These, like, some of you remember those, right? Very, today, like, they're unheard of course. My own kids wouldn't even understand that was a phone, but this phone was to be used by our partners. We also had Lennart Meri come to use the phone, as it was considered to be a safer line than from the ministries, which is quite a cool anecdote. This particular phone is actually today in a museum. We're trying to get our hands on it because for one of the events that we're doing this year, we'd actually like to show this phone as a bit of nostalgia. But it requires special permission, as it's the only one of its kind kept at this museum. So it's all sort of fun these days when you look back at that. We also had an internet computer in the office, also to be used by the public. Those of you who are, my age or older would remember how we used to go to internet cafes or, different public offices where you could borrow a computer with an internet connection. And it was sort of the same in our office, all with the purpose, of course, of, sharing information and making information available. But then, 35 years went by, and wow, things have really changed. Estonia has developed so fast. Some of you have heard me say this before, but looking at where we were and where we are today Estonia is in a position where Estonia is world leading in some different sort of areas. Some of the areas that come to my mind are digitalization, for example. Click, 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 and you have registered a company. Click, 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 and you're a resident. The entire Icelandic public digital system builds on actually the Estonian model. And there are a lot of things that you can do in Estonia digitally that you can actually not do in the Nordic countries today. Happy to share some examples later for those who are curious. But cyber issues and cyber security is also an area where Estonia is doing really well. The very agile sort of business market and the way companies are set up and how startups can operate, it's very sort of easy, agile, quick, practical. Education is another area. We know that the PISA scores for Estonia are very high. We have a lot of Nordic delegations coming here, and they want to learn more, and they're all wondering, what is it that Estonia is doing right? Why are the PISA scores so high? And I think we know maybe some of the little answers, but it's still, we're still looking for a little more, but the independence of teachers and decentralization of schools, for example, could be one of those. Perhaps in the Nordic countries we have taken free and good quality education for granted for a bit too long, while in Estonia I think a lot of people still have the feeling of, you know, what occupation means, or the time of the Soviet Union fresh in their memory and minds, and value these things in a slightly different way. I'm sure there are many more answers, but this is just to illustrate a little bit where we are today. So looking back how we worked 35 years ago to where we are today, we are at a point where we have an equal cooperation level. We're doing things that have a win-win reason or objective to them. When I give these examples of areas where Estonia is doing really well today, I do that to illustrate how Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and the Nordics can learn from each other. I can't speak much from Latvia and Lithuania, but of course these are also two countries that have developed really fast, also with their own skill sets. And so finding these ways where we can cooperate, where we can both gain from that cooperation and learn more. In our vision from the Nordic Council of Ministers, it is to build a region in the Nordic and Baltic area that is the most integrated and sustainable in the world. And looking out in the world, there is no other region in the world that is integrated at all these different levels that we are in this part of the world. In our own organization, we have support programs that you will hear more about today, but they range from everywhere from students and school children going on exchange visits between our different countries, up to the basically NB8 sort of ministerial level and everything in between. We have exchange cooperation within healthcare, within education, within policing, within justice, and many, many other areas. And this type of integration and cooperation at so many levels doesn't actually exist in any other part of the world. It's something we should be very proud of, but it's also something that we should nurture and protect. And this is exactly where we are and where we want to be in our organization. This is exactly the type of partnerships that we want to build. And so when you hear the presentations today about the different support program and grant programs, please keep this in mind. Everything that we do with Nordic-Baltic cooperation as the main objective, guiding the work. We will in a minute move to the different support programs where you will again hear more details about those, and then of course catch my colleagues during coffee so that you can ask many more questions. Again, very, very delighted to have you here. It's the Danish and Faroe Islands presidency is of course very close to my heart. Many of you know that my father is from Denmark. It's a little more complicated than that. My mother is from Finland, and I am a Swedish diplomat. That equation is slightly complicated. It's very good when it's time for sports because I can cheer on whoever seems to be in the lead. So it can also be quite practical. But of course, also the Nordic and Baltic cooperation is very, very close to my heart, also personally. Now with that, super big welcome to everyone, and I will now let my wonderful and much appreciated colleague Madis introduce each speaker to you, who will talk about the different support programs. Great. Wishing you an excellent day here together with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria. Suur tänu, Maria. Suur tänu ka Taani suursaadikule nende sissejuhatavate kõnede ja tutvustuste eest. Nüüd me läheme edasi Põhja- ja Baltimaade toetusprogrammide tutvustamise juurde. Need on siis mitmedki just Põhja- ja Baltimaade ühised algatused, ühisel rahastusel toimivad programmid erinevates valdkondades. Kõigepealt ma palun siis siia Põhja- ja Baltimaade kultuuriprogramme tutvustama Johanna Fredrikssoni, kes töötab Põhjamaade kultuuripunktis Helsingis. Ma veel lisan, et me siis hiljem võtame vastu ka küsimusi, kui kõik ettekanded, arutelud on peetud. Meil tuleb siis kohvi ja suupistete hetk siin ja siis meil on võimalik üksteisega lähemalt rääkida ja üksikuid küsimusi ka esitada. So Johanna Fredriksson from the Nordic Culture Point, very welcome here to present the Nordic and Baltic culture programs. Thank you for coming and very welcome.
Thank you. Let's see if I know how to use this. Okay, so I'm Johanna and I work at the Nordic Culture Point in Helsinki. And yeah, I'm going to present the funding programs for you.
Maybe you need to stand in front of the microphone.
Oh, yes, thank you. Good observation. Yes. So I'm going to present the Nordic Baltic Mobility Program for Culture and the Culture and Art Program for you today. We have also other programs that we administrate. All our programs are owned by the Nordic Council of Ministers. The other programs we have, I'm not going through them, but it's the youth programs, Norden 0 to 30 and Unvolt. And then we also have a Demos, which is a program for civil society. But let's go further. The Nordic Baltic Mobility Program is to strengthen artistic and cultural cooperation in the Nordic and Baltic countries. The focus is on increasing exchange of knowledge, contacts, and interest in Nordic and Baltic art and culture. And we start with the mobility funding, which is for professionals. It's a travel grant, and you need to be an individual to apply it, but you can also apply as a group, but then you have to have your individual application. The funding can be used for travel and accommodation costs. When you travel from a Nordic or Baltic country to another Nordic or Baltic country, you cannot use it for traveling in the same country as you are located in. We are not looking at the nationality, but we are looking on the country you are based in. And you can have also several destinations during the same trip, but you cannot go home in between. And we can cover the costs up to 14 days. And we have actually, there's like set rates. So we have a calculator on our webpage where you can count how much you can apply. It depends on the destination. And then we go to network funding. Network funding is to facilitate meetings and exchange of ideas and knowledge between professionals in the field of art and culture. You need to have at least 3 partners from Nordic and or Baltic countries. So they can be either Nordic or completely Baltic or a mix of both Nordic and Baltic countries. And you can apply as an organization or as an individual or like a mix of both, but you need to have at least 3 partners. And the activities can be, for example, a series of meetings, conferences, workshops, staff exchanges, and joint training. And you cannot apply for artistic work. It's good to remember. We have other funding programs for that, but in the network can be, the long-term goal can be for something artistic, so like a joint production. And within the network funding, we have 2 different categories. One is short-term network funding, and that's up to 20,000 euros, and it can be, the activities can go on up to 1 year, and we have 2 calls per year. One now in spring, which is open, you can already send in your application, and then we have another round in autumn. And then we have also long-term network funding, which is up to, it's about 2.5 years. The period is always counted from the year when the decision is made, plus 2 years. And we have, it's also, the application call is open now at the moment, and you can only apply in the spring. And you can get up to 100,000 euros, but you need to have cover 50% of the total budget. And also in the short term, I forgot to say that you need a little bit of co-funding as well. Then we have the funding for artist residencies. This is a program for residency organizations to apply for costs related to inviting artists from other Nordic and Baltic countries. You need to invite at least 2 artists, and you need to have at least 1 year of experience of running residency activities. And the idea is that the artists can focus on their work and also meet other artists during the residency. And you can apply up to 50,000 euros, and this can also be, the activities can be spread out in like about 2.5 years as well. Yes, and there are some very specific criteria for these grants, so I suggest that you, or recommend that you read the criteria well at our web page. And last, we have the Culture and Art program. So in the mobility program, you can apply as an applicant in Estonia, and also this program, the Culture and Art program, you can be located in Estonia and be the main applicant. But this Culture and Art program is basically for artistic cooperation between, like you have to have the Nordic dimension in this grant. Let's see if I... Yeah, you need to have at least 3 partners, of which 2 needs to be Nordic. So in the other, if you apply, for example, network funding, you can have a completely Baltic focus, but here you need to have the Nordic dimension. And you can be in either organization or individual, and you can apply for all stages of a project and all fields of culture and arts. And there's several different categories for the amount you can apply for, and different requirements for the co-funding. and I will have a little bit like some small statistics for Estonia. For last year, we granted 15 applications, and we got 105 received applications. 14 was for mobility funding, which is for individuals, and then actually we didn't have any network project which was which had the main applicant in Estonia, but we had actually several one as partners. They were actually, Estonia was one of the most popular countries to be a partner. And then we had also one artist residency that got funded last year. It's called Cordonair. And then we had this additional round for inviting Ukrainian artists and art creators and their Estonian Society of Young Architecture got a grant. And we don't know if this additional funding will continue this year, but let's see. And then I have just all the deadlines are on our webpage. You will find them there as well. And then I have also our team here, so you feel free to contact us. We have different funding programs. I myself have the network funding and funding for artist residencies, but I will be here today and answer your questions if you have also for the other programs. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, Johanna, for all this information, many programs, many possibilities. I'm sure that you will receive many questions also later on. Aga järgmiseks me siis tutvustame Põhja- ja Baltimaade vabaühenduste programme ja mul on eriliselt hea meel kutsuda siia oma kolleeg Merle. Merle töötab Põhjamaade Ministrite Nõukogu esinduses siin Tallinnas ja on vabaühendustega tegelenud päris palju aastaid. Palun, Merle.
Aitäh, Madis. Tervist kõigile. Mina siis räägin täna eesti keeles, aga slaidid on inglise keeles. Ja räägin siis täna Põhjamaade Ministrite Nõukogu kodanikuühiskonna toetusprogrammidest, mis on loodud selleks, et toetada Põhjamaade ja Balti riikide kodanikuühiskonna organisatsioonide koostööd. Ja see programm on avatud Eestis registreeritud avalikes huvides tegutsevatele MTÜ-dele ja sihtasutustele. Ja toetust saavad taotleda Eestis registreeritud mittetulundusühingud ja sihtasutused. Ja organisatsioon peab siis olema sõltumatu riigi või kohaliku omavalitsuse asutustest, erakondadest, ettevõtetest või ametiühingutest. Ja tegevused peavad olema suunatud laiemale avalikkusele, mitte ainult oma liikmetele. Erandiks on siin erivajadustega inimeste organisatsioonid. Programmi kogu eelarve on umbes 60 000 eurot aastas. Ja toetus ühe projekti kohta on 7 000 kuni 25 000 eurot. Projekti kestus võib olla kuni 1 aasta ja taotluse keel on siis inglise keel. Taotluse saab esitada ja tuleb esitada elektrooniliselt ja elektrooniline süsteem asub aadressil ncmgrants.org. Seal siis on ka juhtnöörid ja tingimused, viited vajalikele dokumentidele, taotluse ja aruande näidis ning statistika. Taotlusvoore on aastas 1 Ja sel aastal me avame taotlusvooru 9. veebruaril ja tähtpäev on 23. märts. Otsus tehakse 6 nädala jooksul ja rahastame siis 85% ettemaksena ja 15% pärast lõpparuande kinnitamist. Aruandlus on samuti elektrooniline ja see tuleb esitada 1 kuu pärast projekti lõppu. Ja partnerlusnõueteks on siis see, et projektis peab toimuma koostöö vähemalt 3 erineva riigi partnerorganisatsiooni vahel. Ja kui Eesti on taotleja, siis lisaks sellele peaks siis olema kaasatud 1 Põhjamaa või 1 Balti riik või siis 2 Põhjamaad. Projekti toetatavad tegevused on võrgustike loomine, ühistegevused, seminarid, töötoad, õppevisiidid ja heade praktikate vahetamine, koolitus- ja kodanikuhariduse projektid, uurimisprojektid ja nii edasi. Ja kõik projektid peavad siis keskenduma vähemalt ühele visiooni 2030 prioriteetidest, milleks siis on keskkonnahoidlik piirkond, edendades üleminekut kestlikule majandusele, kliimaneutraalsust või ring- ja biomajandust. Teiseks prioriteediks on siis konkurentsivõimeline piirkond, edendades kestlikku majanduskasvu, teadmisi ja innovatsiooni, mobiilsust ja digitaalset integratsiooni. Ja kolmandaks, sotsiaalselt jätkusuutlik piirkond, edendades kaasavat ja võrdset ühiskonda, millel on ühised väärtused, tihe kultuurivahetus, heaolu ja sotsiaalne sidusus. Nüüd, edukad projektid võtavad arvesse ka Põhjamaade Ministrite Nõukogu horisontaalseid prioriteete, milleks siis on sooline võrdõiguslikkus, lapsed ja noored ja ÜRO tegevuskava 2030 ja selle 17 kestliku arengu eesmärki. Siin te näete minu kontakte. Olete teretulnud helistama või kirjutama, kui teil tekib küsimusi. Ja ma tänan teid.
Suur tänu, Merle. Ja nüüd on kavas ette nähtud, märkasin Põhja- ja Baltimaade avaliku halduse mobiilsusprogrammi tutvustus. Nii et ma kasutangi võimalust, räägin teile avaliku sektori mobiilsusprogrammist. See on siis üks nendest programmidest, mis on Põhja- ja Baltimaade vahel ühiselt käivitatud selleks, et 8 riiki, 5 Põhjala ja 3 Balti riiki saaksid isekeskis avalikus sektoris kogemusi vahetada. Vaatame, kas selle abil saab kuidagi neid. Põhja- ja Baltimaad rahastavad samuti seda mobiilsusprogrammi ühiselt. Nii et see on ühine algatus, ühised eesmärgid. Programmi aastane eelarve on 200 000 eurot. Ja üldiseks eesmärgiks on tugevdada Põhja- ja Baltimaade piirkonda just selle avaliku sektori koostöös ning suurendada avaliku sektori efektiivsust ja suurendada ka Põhja- ja Baltimaade piirkonna globaalset konkurentsivõimet, seda sama konkurentsivõimet, millest rääkis ka meie Taani suursaadik siin just äsja. Programmil on siis konkreetseteks eesmärkideks jagada kogemusi vastastikku, kasulikke kogemusi avaliku halduse valdkonnas, tugevdada ja arendada koostöövõrgustikke avalikus sektoris Põhja- ja Baltimaade vahel, jagada kogemusi ning aidata kaasa siis nii ministeeriumide kui ka kohalike ja regionaalsete avaliku sektori asutuste vahel. Programmis saavad osaleda kas siis üksiktaotlejad individuaalse taotlejana või saab ka esitada grupitaotlusi. Ühes grupis, mis projektis osaleb, võib olla kuni 8 inimest Põhja- ja Baltimaade piirkonnast. Kõik need projektis osalevad inimesed peavad olema siis avaliku sektori töötajad nii riigi tasandilt, piirkonna tasandilt kui ka kohaliku omavalitsuse tasandilt ning siin saavad siis erandina osaleda ka kohalike omavalitsuste liidud ja assotsiatsioonid. Erandina selles mõttes, et muidu selles programmis mittetulundusühingud ei saa osaleda. Nüüd on siin ka väike kirjeldus sellest, kuidas taotlemisprotsess käib. Tuleks siis esmalt muidugi tutvuda juhistega, planeerida juba projekti, läbi rääkida koostööpartneritega. Etteruttavalt juba ütlen, et igas projektis peab siis osalema vähemalt 2 koostööpartnerit ja Eestist taotledes siis vähemalt 2 Põhjala riiki. Tuleb esitada taotlus selle mobiilsusprogrammi e-süsteemis ning seejärel, kui taotlus on esitatud ja vastab ka nõuetele, siis 8 nädala jooksul saab taotlus ka vastuse ja kui on edukas taotlus, otsus positiivne, siis kantakse juba 85% eraldatud grandist projektijuhi poolt määratud kontole. Saab asuda projekti ellu viima ning projekti lõppedes esitatakse siis aruanne. Kui kõik on korrektne, siis kantakse üle ka ülejäänud 15% määratud grandist. Nagu öeldud, siis väga oluline osa ettevalmistusest on koostööpartnerite leidmine ja nendega läbirääkimine ning koostööpartnerid nendest vähemalt 2 Põhjala riigist siis Eesti puhul peaksid andma ka kirjaliku kinnituse selle kohta, et nad on nõus projektis osalema. Siin peab veel märkima, et samamoodi saavad ju taotlusi esitada sellesse programmi ka Põhjala riigid, kuid oluline nõue on, et igas projektis peab selline liikuvus toimuma Põhjala ja Balti riikide vahel. Ei saa siis taotleda toetusi näiteks ühest Balti riigist teise reisimiseks, kogemuste vahetuseks ega ka ühest Põhjala riigist teise reisimiseks. Et projektis peavad alati olema esindatud Põhjala ja Balti riigid. Võrgustiku taotluse puhul on siis mõeldud selliseid projekte, kus kõik projektipartnerid kohtuvad ühel ajal siis kas mõnel ühisel koosolekul või võrgustiku kohtumisel, väiksemal seminaril või muul sellisel võrgustiku tegevusel. Selles programmis on sobivateks tegevusteks siis õppekülaskäigud, on võimalik ka pikemaks praktikaks taotlusi esitada, on võrgustiku kohtumised ning nüüd COVID-i aastatel lisandus ka siis veebikohtumiste võimalus. See nüüd praegusel ajal ei ole olnud väga aktuaalne, kuid vahel siiski, kui mõni õppereis kipub ära jääma, siis saab seda asendada veebikohtumisega. Õppekülastuste puhul arvestatakse, et tarvilik on 3–10 päeva külastust ühes partnerriigis. Praktikate puhul kuni 20 tööpäeva, mida on siis võimalik taotleda. Kui üks projekt koosneb mitmest tegevusest, näiteks mitmest õppekülastusest, siis need tuleks läbi viia 6 kuu jooksul, kuid omakorda siis üldse kogu projekti ajaline raam on 12 kuud. Nii et see 6 kuu nõue tähendab seda, et kui esimene tegevus, näiteks esimene õppereis on toimunud, siis järgmised kõik tegevused peaks järgnema 6 kuu jooksul, mis omakorda mahuks 12 kuu sisse. Edasi siis veel rahalisest küljest, nagu öeldud, programmi eelarve on 200 000 eurot aastas. Projekti tasandil see programm saab katta kuni 60% projekti abikõlblikust eelarvest ning taotleja peaks katma siis vähemalt 40% projekti abikõlblikust eelarvest. Need abikõlblikud kulud on reisikulud, majutuskulud ja siis lähetuste päevarahad. Reisikulude juures ka reisikindlustusega seotud kulud. Need on ainsad sobivad kulud, midagi muud kahjuks siia ei sobi ja nende kulude summast siis programm saab katta kuni 60%. Kui juba varem ka öeldud, siis taotlused tuleks esitada mobiilsusprogrammi e-süsteemi kaudu, seal samas siis hiljem ka aruanne ning taotluste esitamise tähtaeg on 31. märts tänavu. Selleks ajaks 31. märtsi jooksul peaks siis taotlus olema mobiilsusprogrammi e-süsteemi laekunud. Koos taotlusega, nagu öeldud, on siis koostööpartnerite kinnituskirjad, kuid lisaks nendele veel ka taotleva asutuse kinnituskiri kaasrahastuse kohta, et 40% vähemalt siis kaetakse taotleja poolt. Ja samuti on vajalik ka taotleva asutuse poolt üks soovituskiri sellele projektile. See võiks siis olla kas asutuse juhilt või osakonna juhilt, kellelgi, kes on pädev soovitama. Nüüd veel on üks pilt ka sellest meie mobiilsusprogrammi e-süsteemist. Siin tuleks ennast kasutajaks registreerida ja saab siis juba asuda taotlust koostama. Taotluse koostamine võib käia ka siis mitmes järgus, et võib vahepeal salvestada ja hiljem jätkata. Peaasi, et tähtajaks oleks taotlus esitatud. Mis saab taotlusest edasi? Pärast taotluse tähtaega 8 nädala jooksul tuleb taotlusele vastus. Taotluste kohta teevad otsused Põhjamaade Ministrite Nõukogu Eesti, Läti ja Leedu esinduste juhid, direktorid. Need otsused tehakse siis just eelkõige taotluse kvaliteedi põhjal, kuid arvestatakse ka muidugi mobiilsusprogrammi eelarve võimalusi. Üldiselt on eelistatud gruppide taotlused võrreldes individuaalsete taotlustega. Siin oli ka juba juttu siis, et kui taotlus on edukas, siis 85% grandist kantakse üle ettemaksuna ja ülejäänud 15% siis pärast aruande esitamist. Aruanne tuleks esitada kuu aega pärast viimast tegevust kõige hiljemalt. Meil on ka siin natuke näited, kõigepealt statistikat aastast 2024. See kirev ketas illustreerib siis, kui palju riigid on osalenud mobiilsusprogrammis, kas taotlejana või ka partnerina. Ja 2024. aastal oli siis grantide kogusumma 219 996, et nagu näete, siis isegi suurem kui programmi eelarve. See tuleb siis sellest, et mõned varasemad projektid on kas plaanitust vähem kulutanud või vahel ka üldse ära jäänud, need summad lähevad siis taaskasutusse järgmistel aastatel. Ja toetust sai 36 projekti, taotlusi oli 39. Möödunud aastal oli meil 48 taotlust ja 41 neist said positiivse vastuse otsuse. Grantide kogusumma oli 235 850 eurot. Ja siin on veel siis üks selline suurem statistika ka siis aastatest 2011 kuni 2024. Programm ise küll algas 2009. aastal, kuid see mobiilsusprogramm e-süsteem on meil alates 2011. aastast ja sellest saadik on meil siis laekunud üle 1000 taotluse, on jagatud välja praeguseks juba umbes 900 granti ja osalenud on ligi juba 5500 avaliku sektori töötajat. Nende, ma arvan, praeguseks võib siis öelda juba 15 aasta jooksul. Siin all on ka illustratsioon nende valdkondade kohta, mis siis on toetust saanud. Et on päris palju erinevaid valdkondi avalikust sektorist. Kes nüüd veel jõuab siin lugeda, väga pikalt ei taha peatuda, on mõned selle tagasiside read, mis on aruannetest siis toetust saanud projektidelt tulnud. Siin on näiteks üks Kaitseministeeriumi projekt koostöös Taani ja Norraga, millel on päris head konkreetsed tulemused lausa loetletud. On üks Rootsi taotlus ning õnneks aruandeid on meeldiv lugeda, sest need kõik on enamasti väga positiivsed. Ja tundub, et projektid on tõesti kasulikuks osutunud. Ja ka seda on rõõm jagada siin, et mobiilsusprogrammi e-süsteemi hinnatakse väga positiivselt, on taotlejate jaoks siis hea ja kerge kasutada. Lõpetuseks on siin veel minu kontaktid, nii et võib julgesti pöörduda kas siin meie hilisemal kohvihetkel või siis e-maili või telefoni teel. Aitäh! Aga nüüd on meiega siin kallis külaline Põhjamaade Ministrite Nõukogu esindusest Vilniuses, Brigita Urmanaitė, meie kolleeg, ja tema tutvustab siis meile programmi nimega Prosperous Future.
Suur tänu, Madis, kutsumast, aga ma jätkan inglise keeles. Prosperous Future Grant Program. So this program is one of the newest programs, has been running since 2022 and is one of the key funding instruments of the Nordic Council of Ministers for civil society organizations. The program is built on an ambition to strengthen democracy, sustainability and resilience through cross-border cooperation among civil society actors. It is fully aligned with the Nordic Vision 2030 strategic goals and aims to create a green, competitive and socially sustainable Nordic region. Why does the program matter? The program matters because it goes beyond the individual activity funding. First, it fosters long-term cooperation between civil society organizations across the Nordic-Baltic region and neighboring countries. It also supports projects that reflect shared values as democratic participation, human rights, social inclusion, youth engagement, sustainability, and innovation. Third, it offers a real opportunity for NGOs to develop new ideas, exchange knowledge, build networks that continue long-term after the project has ended. The program is for non-profit civil society organizations. The applicants must be registered in a Nordic country, in a Baltic country, or Poland. In addition, independent civil society organizations from Ukraine, in Ukraine, or linked to Belarus and Russia can also participate as partners, provided that Russian partners, they have to be registered and operate outside Russia. Partnership is a core principle of this program. Each project must include partners from at least 3 countries, from at least 2 of the 3 countries groups, and priorities given to projects involving partners from all 3 program groups. The thematic scope can be very broad. The program can support projects on democracy and human rights, culture and education, youth engagement, sustainability and climate action, innovation, digitalization. The latter is the priority area for this call, just for you to keep in mind. The typical supported activities include seminars and workshops, capacity building activities, network activities, knowledge sharing initiatives. The program, of course, does not fund infrastructure nor purely local activities. Some data from the last call. Here in the pie chart, I have number of applications submitted from all eligible countries and partnerships. Last year, we received 63 applications and 17 got funded. You can find more data on the program website, which I will share with you later on. To make this more concrete, a couple of project examples. The first one is Future Resilient Champions, implemented by Unicorns Fund in Lithuania. The project brought together young leaders from Lithuania, Ukraine, and the Nordic countries on a topic of social entrepreneurship. Participants attended intensive workshops on community well-being, digital safety, climate sustainability, developed different startup ideas, and also received monitoring support even after the main project activities ended. The second project focused on the well-being of LGBTIQ children in the Nordic-Baltic region, implemented by an umbrella organization in Lithuania. The project connected families, educators, and policymakers to combat violence and discrimination. And through research, advocacy, and regional events, it promoted inclusive policies and safer environments for children. These examples show the diversity of topics, but also a strong emphasis on regional cooperation and long-term impact. Funding and project period. Each project can apply for funding between 45,000 and 65,000 euros. That means that the minimum amount to be applied for is 45,000, the maximum 65. The total annual program budget is approximately 990,000 euros. That means that we can fund from 15 to 22 projects each year. The upcoming project call runs the project period, runs from June this year until end of September next year. The eligible costs include travel, accommodation, event-related costs, expert fees, communication, other project implemented costs, also cost for auditing, because in this program we do require financial audit, What is important that no co-financing is required, so it also differs from our other programs. And the program organizations may include up to 7% of overhead costs. So basically pretty favorite conditions for NGOs. Application process. Now we have the call open until 30th of January. So those who have partnerships and project ideas ready, you can still reach. We have one project call per year. Application must be submitted online through the program portal. A complete application includes the application form, which includes then project description, budget, communication plan. Then additionally, you attach letters of commitment from all the project partners. And after submission, applications go through the eligibility check, evaluation of an advisory board, which consists of representatives of the Nordic Ministers of Foreign Affairs and senior advisors from the Nordic Council of Ministers Secretariat in Copenhagen. And the final decision is made by the Nordic Council of Ministers Secretariat in Copenhagen. The process takes a bit longer time. It takes up to 12 weeks after the deadline when we get the results. Now, shortly about the assessment criteria. So projects are evaluated based on criteria such as quality and feasibility of implementation, strategic relevance and alignment with program priorities, added value for Nordic-Baltic cooperation, quality of partnerships, financial clarity and cost efficiency, communication and dissemination plans, and thematic and regional balance. A strong application clearly explains why this partnership, why now, and what difference the project will make. So think through the expected outcome of the project. Yeah, some advice for the applicants. Just read clearly through the guidelines, align with the priorities of the program. Of course, one needs to invest time in building strong, reliable partnerships, define clear objectives, expected outcomes, timelines and budget, prepare a good communication plan, and start preparing documents early, especially with letters of commitment. It takes time to get the papers. Guidelines on the program website, partnership, draft your proposal and budget, and submit the application by 30th of January. And here are our contact. Well, this program from this year is administered from Lithuania, from the Nordic Council of Ministers office in Lithuania, so please feel free to get in touch with me, and thank you for your attention.
Suur tänu, Brigita, ja seda programmi siis administreerib ja haldab Põhjamaade Ministrite Nõukogu esindus Vilniuses, ja meil siin Eestis on eriline privileeg, et saame pöörduda Brigita poole eesti keeles, nii et julgustan siis ühendust võtma ja projekte kirjutama. Aga nüüd on meiega siis Katrin Rein, Erasmus+ ja Euroopa Solidaarsuskorpuse Eesti riikliku agentuuri tiimijuht, kes tutvustab meile Nord+ programme. Aitäh, Katrin!
Aitäh, Madis, ja tere ka minu poolt. Aga mul on tõesti väga hea meel siin teile täna tutvustada Nord+ programmi võimalusi ja samal ajal soovin ka Põhjamaade Ministrite Nõukogu Eesti esindust õnnitleda selle olulise aasta puhul ja kindlasti on siin tulemas väga palju huvitavaid üritusi. Nii, aga alustuseks siis paari sõnaga programmi ajaloost. See sai alguse 88. aastal, ehk siis ta on kuldses keskeas juba. Ja esialgu oli see mõeldud ainult Põhjamaadele. Baltimaad liitusid siis 2008. aastal. Ja see on ka juba peaaegu 20 aastat, kui me seal oleme. Programm on jaotatud siis 5-aastasteks programmiperioodideks ja eelarve on umbes 10 miljonit, mis võrreldes teiste nüüd Põhjamaade Ministrite Nõukogu programmidega on üsna suur, aga võrreldes Erasmusega muidugi päris väike. Ja osalejaid programmis on aastas keskeltläbi 10 000. Ja nagu öeldud, osalevad siis kõik Põhjamaad, Balti riigid ja samuti ka autonoomsed piirkonnad, Ahvenamaa, Fäärisaarid ja Gröönimaa. Programm on siis jaotatud veel omakorda 5 alaprogrammiks. Seal on erinevad sihtgrupid, näiteks Nord+ Junior programm on siis suunatud alusharidusest kuni kutsehariduseni, alusharidusasutused, lasteaiad, üldhariduskoolid, kutsekoolid, ka huvikoolid. Kõrgharidusprogramm on muidugi kõrgkoolidele mõeldud ja Nord+ täiskasvanuharidusprogramm on siis täiskasvanuharidusega tegelevatele asutustele ja sinna alla käivad ka raamatukogud ja muuseumid. Siis on eraldi Nord+ horisontaalprogramm, mis on natuke keerulisem, kuna see hõlmab siis mitut sektorit, kas siis haridusvaldkondade lõikes, et peab olema kaasatud 2 erinevat haridusvaldkonda, näiteks kõrgharidus, kutseharidus, või siis ka näiteks erasektor teeb koostööd siis mõne kooliga. Ja viimasena Nord+ Põhjamaade keelte programm, et see on nüüd suunatud Põhjamaade keelte arendamiseks ja siin tuleb tähele panna seda, et kuigi soome keel on seal programmis sees, siis eesti keele näiteks õppematerjale siin arendada ei saa, et võime ju vastu vaielda, et miks eesti keel sinna ei kuulu, et siis Balti riikide nii-öelda keeled siia alla ei käi, et see on keskendunud ainult Põhjamaade keeltele. Ja mis siin programmis teha saab, et edendada hariduskoostööd, et sinna alla käivad siis õpirände projektid, koostöö, arendusprojektid ja väga oluline osa on võrgustiku koostööl. Ja pisut ka numbritest, et kuidas meil siis 2 viimasel aastal läks. Et üldiselt võib öelda, et Eesti võtab sealt välja rohkem, kui me sinna sisse paneme. Et hetkel on siis 72 projekti, mida Eesti asutused koordineerivad ja lisaks sellele 223 projektis osaleme me partneritena. Ja 2 aasta jooksul on Eestisse tulnud tagasi siis 2,6 miljonit, mis on päris suur summa. Ja siin on ka näha joonisel, mismoodi need vahendid on jagunenud siis koordineeritud projektidele ja partnerina osalevate projektide vahel. Ja ka siis projektide üldarvu. Ja rahaliselt ka, et kõige suurem osakaal on kõrgharidusprogrammil, et sinna tuleb alati kõige suurem toetussumma, aga ka Nord+ Junior programmile päris palju. Ja eriti hea meel on ka Nord+ keeleprogrammi üle, et kuhu meil on viimastel aastatel õnnestunud ka paar väga head projekti kirjutada. Nii, ja siin on ka näha 2 aasta lõikes siis, et protsentuaalselt, et kui suure summa see moodustab Nord+ programmi kogu eelarvest. Mis on ka päris tubli arvestades, et teised riigid on ikkagi palju suuremad ja see tähendab, et meil potentsiaali on kõvasti. Ja siin veel kord, et alaprogrammide kaupa, et kui palju meil siis meie juhitud projekte siin on. Ja tõesti keeleprogrammi osas mul on nagu eriti suur hea meel näiteks esile tõsta paari projekti, et sai toetuse runska dialekti, Ruhnus räägitava dialekti uurimiseks. Tartu Ülikool esitas selle projekti ja siin eelmisel aastal ka soome keele õpetajate selts esitas paar projekti siis soome keele õppematerjalide arendamiseks, et see on ka väga hea ja suur saavutus ja julgustan kindlasti sinna rohkem projekte esitama. Ka Nord+ programmil on fookusteema, et nüüd käesoleval aastal ja järgmisel aastal on siis selline teema nagu Skills and Knowledge for Competitive Nordic and Baltic Region, aga tuleb öelda ka, et valikul ikkagi arvestatakse, et see on nagu väga lai teema, eks ole, ja sisuliselt kõik projektid ju seda eesmärki teenivad. Aga et valikul ikkagi arvestatakse projekti nagu kvaliteeti ja sisu, et see ei ole nüüd nii oluline, et sellel teemal midagi ekstra kirjutada, et nagu ütlesin, et sisuliselt ju kõik püüdlevad selle eesmärgi poole. Ja mis tähtajad, et samamoodi nagu paljudel eelnevatel programmidel, tähtaeg on küll lähedal, aga kui teil on ideed ja kindlasti koostööpartnerid, et siis te veel jõuate projekti esitada. Ja kui ei jõua, et siis oktoobris on veel ettevalmistavate visiitide tähtaeg ja nagu igal aastal, siis novembris me teeme järgmise aasta taotlusvooru tingimuste tutvustamiseks järjekordse infopäeva, et sinna olete ka kõik väga teretulnud, sel aastal ilmselt toimub see Tallinnas, eelmine aasta oli Tartus ja alati novembri lõpus, et siis jälgige reklaami agentuuri, Erasmus+ agentuuri kodulehel. Ja eelmine aasta näiteks me esmakordselt esitlesime või tunnustasime ka parimaid projekte, et ühest saate kohe ka kuulda siin Päästeliidu projektist ja kutsume alati ka esinema mõne huvitava eksperdi. Näiteks eelmine aasta siis oli ettekanne või esineja tutvustas, kuidas siis tehisintellekti abil targalt projekti taotlust koostada ja ma ütleks, et see oli äärmiselt kasulik. Nii, ja juba mainisin, et programmis saab toetust õpirände projektidele, koostööprojektidele, võrgustikele ja horisontaalprogrammist saab siis ainult võrgustikele ja koostööprojektidele. Ja oluline on tähele panna, et see on nüüd programm, kus saavad toetust ainult asutused, see tähendab, et individuaalseks õpirände või muuks toetuseks siit toetust ei saa küsida. Aga põhimõtteliselt kõik asutused ja organisatsioonid, kes tegelevad elukestva õppega, saavad siit toetust taotleda. Ja siin ka, et mõned viited, et kuidas ja kust siis alustada. Kõik on üleval informatsioon Nord+ programmi kodulehel. Need lingid ja koodid teid kenasti sinna viivad. Et oluline on valida õige alaprogramm, et seda maksab nagu tähele panna ja põhjalikult läbi mõelda ja vaadata, et kuhu te sobite. Ja algajatele, projektikirjutajatele on samuti väga palju kasulikku infot, et kenasti juhatatakse teid sealt kodulehelt õigesse kohta. Ja projekti kirjutamine toimub siis Espresso keskkonnas. Sinna samuti nagu eelnenud programmide puhul, et teete omale seal kasutaja, valite sobiliku keele, et seal on kas Põhjamaade keeled või siis inglise keel võimalik valida ja hakkate pihta. Näitan ka, et millised need toetused on. Et need ei ole nagu liiga suured, et siin õpirände grandid on siis paika pandud, on kindlad ühikuhinnad, sõltuvalt siis sihtriigist. Et kui Gröönimaale tahate minna, siis on see summa natuke suurem, muidu on pisut väiksem. Küsimus on muidugi, et kas ta kõik kulud ära katab, aga nii on. Ja ka päevarahade puhul tähele panna, et näiteks õpilastele, kui te teete üldhariduskoolidega õpirännet, et siis õpilastele ei ole päevarahasid ette nähtud, see tuleb siis leida oma vahenditest. Koostööprogrammide puhul on siin Juhtivpartnerile on üks summa, reeglina siin 4000 eurot ja siis partneritele on igale partnerile 2000 eurot ja pluss siis kas siis reaalsetel kuludel põhinev eelarve või siis reisigrandid. Ja ka, et kuidas siis see nii-öelda toetuse käekäik välja näeb, et pärast tähtaega veebruar-märtsis on taotluste hindamine, siis aprilli lõpuks saate tagasisidet, 80% projekti kogumaksumusest saate ettemaksena siis kätte pärast lepingu sõlmimist ja ülejäänud 20% tuleb siis projekti lõppedes. Nii, aga muu on ka üsna nagu sarnane siin eelnenud programmidega. Auditit siin ei ole, et see kõik põhineb usaldusel, siis finantsdokumente ei tule samuti esitada, aga need tuleb alles hoida. Nii, ja ütlen ka, et tegelikult see taotlemine, see keskkond ja see kõik on ikkagi üsna kasutajasõbralik ja päris nagu lihtne. Nii. Ja kui soovite rohkem infot, siis siin on mõned lingid ja ka e-maili aadress. Võite ka mulle otse kirjutada ja meil iga programmi peal on üks koordinaator ja minuga on täna ka siin Kristista Lobotov, kes vastutab siis Nord+ täiskasvanuharidusprogrammi eest. Aga võite alati lahkelt pöörduda, teeme individuaalset nõustamist, võime edastada materjali ja saame koos nõu pidada. Aitäh!
Suur tänu, Katrin, ja rõõm on näha, et Nord+-ile tuleb nii palju taotlusi Eestist ja samuti ka toetusi. Haridus- ja teaduskoostöö on Põhjamaade koostöös Eesti, Läti ja Leeduga olnud juba 90-ndatest aastatest saadik väga prioriteetne valdkond ja nagu näeme, siis on ka siiani. Nüüd aga meie tänased ettekanded, kõigepealt neid slaide, te saate hiljem ka vaadata Põhjamaade Ministrite Nõukogu esinduse kodulehel selle infopäeva juures. Meie infopäev aga nüüd lõpeb aruteluga. Kõik see, mida te siiani kuulsite, on niisiis olnud teooria. Nüüd aga siis kuulete, kuidas on nende programmide kasutamine õnnestunud praktikas. Meil on 4 arutelus osalejat. Palungi siia ette siis arutelus osalejad Mikk Lahesalu Kaasaegse kunstikeskusest, Taavi Linnamäe president Kaljulaidi fondist, Krista Kink Tallinna linnavalitsuse strateegiabüroost ja Hendrik Tali Eesti Päästeliidust. Ja kõigepealt projektijuhid siis tutvustavad kõik lühidalt kuni 5 minuti jooksul oma projekti ja seejärel järgneb arutelu, mis on meil ingliskeelsena ja arutelu juhib siis Põhjamaade Ministrite Nõukogu esinduse juhataja Maria Gratschew. So please take your seats and Maria, I'm then asking you to moderate the discussion. Thank you.
Great. We're just rearranging the furniture a little bit. It felt like the chairs were so in the corner, right? So we need to be a little more where you can see us. Okay, ladies, gentlemen, take a seat. And we will start. Great. So I'm not entirely sure what Madis said, since I don't speak Estonian very well, but I think he said that this wonderful group are partners of ours who have been part of a support program or other. And in order to give a little bit of sort of inspiration for those of you who are thinking about applying for one of the support programs, we thought it would be great to hear a little bit from those who have had the opportunity to use it and be part of it. So the plan is that you will each say just a few words about the work that you have done, the project, and then I have some questions for you as well, really hard ones. But just a couple of minutes each with a few words about what it is that you have been engaging in, what type of project, what were sort of the goals or activities. So who wants to start? Shall we go from left to right? So ladies first, please, and then I will sit here, and then we go from here. All right.
Okay, my name is Krista King, and thank you for this invitation. And I'm working for the city of Tallinn, and I would like to introduce today about a little bit our visits supported by Nordic Council of Ministers. We are very thankful. We have luck to receive successfully funded 3 times even this project. About 12 years ago, it was 2014, then was our first study visit to Reykjavik and Helsinki. 2016, we visiting Stockholm and Copenhagen. And now, last year, in October and November, we are visiting Oslo Business Region and Business Helsinki. We are choosing these organizations because we are dealing similar topics, supporting entrepreneurship and how to activate our startups, internationalization, and going to the foreign markets, and also our test in Tallinn, how to arrange this project better. Our objectives and key themes was testing innovation solutions. That's the main topic. Test in Tallinn in urban environments. Our partner in Helsinki is our leader in this field. Also, how to support different business internationalization topics, and how local government can be a cooperation partner for universities, industry association, and different entrepreneurs. And also how to use data-driven governance models. Business Helsinki, that's our old partner. We are working together in management level, but in grassroots level, it was very good when it was possible our 8-member team to visit our partner in Helsinki and also in Oslo. The similar, our colleagues are very anxious and keen to asking how they are in real life deal with different topics. Maybe as what was very impressive, Helsinki as entire city as testbed. That means companies in Helsinki are encouraged to pilot new technologies, innovation services, smart city solutions, and different pilot programs. The difference is the Helsinki is managing through challenges, and here in Tallinn, we are working together with companies on proposal levels. And then there we can see the next step, how we can improve our Test in Tallinn program. Maybe what we are learning also there, how universities can be our strategic partners. Because our cooperation maybe is not so good nowadays, and we can improve through this Test in City model also, our cooperation there. The city acts as test laboratory, how the whole city system can be partners for different testing programs. To following this roadmap, that was very useful for our colleagues and for our whole team, innovation team, who takes part of this visit. And maybe that's all of very short that we can see and know from Helsinki's and Oslo's topics in our field.
Perfect. It's the perfect introduction to the different programs. Let's keep moving along the line, please.
Yes. Hi everyone. My name is Mikk. I work as the project manager in Estonian Center for Contemporary Art. So to start, maybe a few words about the CCA. So we are the oldest expert center in the field of contemporary art in Estonia, and one of the core activities is developing the local art scene and through international collaboration. Maybe the most visible activities that we do is commissioning the Estonian Pavilion in Venice Biennale. But we also publish a magazine, a shade colder, and we run a contemporary art archive. The project Borderland Poetics Rewilding Tongues is our fourth network project funded by the Nordic Culture Point Long-Term Network program. The main goal of that project is connecting contemporary art professionals through research trips and also creating opportunities for funded internships for emerging cultural professionals. Yes, so we organize week-long research trips to each partner country. And since this was our fourth project already, we decided to focus on the theme of small languages. So all the partners are chosen from areas where the local language is spoken by a relatively small number of people. So we have, from Finland, we have Aina Art Museum, which is from northern Finland, from Tornio. Then we have Icelandic Art Center, and we also, since we have been collaborating with Iceland a lot already in previous projects, also Finland, Norway, Lithuania as well, we decided to extend this project to a new area, so we included Wales as well with Mostin Art Center. Yes, so here are a couple of photos from this is done in Estonia. And so we meet different art institutions, curators, artists as well. And in addition to those, we really like to learn more about the context of each country. So we've done these visits to also Linnahall and different places to know the cultural context a bit better. Here are some photos from Iceland, and we have still to make trips to Finland and Wales. But yeah, this is it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we'll just move right along.
Yeah, hi, I'm Hendrik. I think I had some pictures as well. I'm not sure if they're going to pop up there, but I'm from Päästeliit, so the Estonian Rescue Association, and we made up projects with the Nordplus adult education funds. So we got some stuff there. Oh, it works. Just a quick one sentence what the Estonian Rescue Association is. So we pretty much take care of every volunteer rescuer in Estonia. It's maritime rescuers, classic firefighters. We have rescue dogs, water rescue dogs, and even take care of our chimney sweepers as well. So we've had 3 projects within the last years. The third one is still active, so we're actually haven't done anything with it yet, but we are going to Iceland in April. And then the Iceland volunteer rescuers will come to Estonia to also learn from us. So our idea is that we, Estonians, want to learn more about how to prepare and how to also fight with climate change. Since Icelanders are great at everything they do, except for one thing, which is forest fires. And you could assume why that is. So they are coming to Estonia to actually learn how to mitigate landscape fires, forest fires. The idea is that when in the past years there was no trees in Iceland, now there is incredible amount of moss that has grown within the years, and the moss is about 6 meters down to the ground. So when lava starts to pour from somewhere, even a little spark can go down within the 6 meters down, and then the fire won't rise from there to up, but it will go for kilometers straight from underground and then come up at one point. So what they are trying to do now is involving more volunteers to help actually mitigate it, because it takes months to mitigate something like that. Yes, so we took the project, we made volunteer rescuers as teachers. So they will all learn something new and then go back to their command centers and also then share their knowledge to everyone else. So here's some pictures, because we're very happy about the project. So here's one picture where we're climbing a mountain in Iceland. Learned how to do some rope rescue. Here's us with the Icelandic volunteers as well, up on a mountain. Everyone who was afraid of heights was not afraid of heights at that moment, which is incredible. This is when the Icelandic people actually came to Estonia. We were in southern Estonia, teaching them everything about what we know about firefighting. Of course, not everything, because it's only a couple of days that they were here. It was a week-long trip. And we also did, the one thing about us is that we can do things that regular people cannot. So we can just, for example, Pia over there can just go up to the head of Estonian Rescue Services Agency and say that we want to do training together. And he says, yeah, sure, why not? So that's what we can do with the Icelandic as well. So it's not only volunteers, we can also involve everyone. And 2024, which was, 2 years ago, it feels like yesterday, but we were learning how to rescue from ice. Also, a big part was to Grindavik. So I think everyone has heard about Grindavik, the volcano that has not gone out until now and won't maybe even for a century. So there's over 3,000 people that have been relocated from their homes, and we were actually learning about how to relocate people as well, because it's a big issue for Estonia when war comes. And here's a fun picture as well on top of the iceberg. And the Icelandic people learned, for example, even how to rescue people from cars. So we actually cut open a car. Went to the simulation hall that's occupied most of the time of the year, but since we are so special, we just got in there for nothing. And this is Gert. Gert is one of the best rescuers in Estonia, actually, and worldwide as well. And here's another picture, because we're so happy about it. And 2026 is in progress, and thank you.
Well, thank you, and congratulations, 35. It's already something. So, and I think your footprints on our ground are remarkable, actually. So thank you, and thanks also to your team here, because well, I come from the President Kaljulaid Foundation, and at least from our perspective, well, you have not been just the donor who gives us money to do what we like, but there has been quite a great actual cooperation with your team, constant bouncing ideas back and forth and discussing what to do and how to do it best. So thank you for that. And definitely, if there was a question that we should share our experience and perhaps encourage the others who have not been there yet, so I definitely can encourage that this journey is worth to take and also quite hassle-free for us, I would say, which is, I think, the thing which NGOs value the most. But yeah, now jumping into what was I actually asked to tell here. I don't know, all my text is on the very bottom, so we probably can't see it, but there is not too much of the text. Oh, no, take it easy. The pictures are what matter. So that's President Kaljulaid, and this is President Kaljulaid Foundation. And we are NGO. Our team is about 15 people, and we are dedicated to protect and empower democracy and freedoms, and also support and empower the most vulnerable groups in the society. So this is what we have been doing for the past 4 years. And when I'm jumping into the grants provided by, or the funds provided by Nordic Council of Ministers, I outlined 2 projects here. So 2024, we organized a forum, a conference on the consent law. So in Estonia, I would say that our legislation is not too supportive towards the victims of sexual assault. And also we're not meeting, we're not aligned with Istanbul Convention and so on, but not for the convention's sake, rather for the sake of the victims and how to protect the victims more. Somebody moved it. Yeah, thank you. Our aim was to enrich the debate, because we saw that the debate about the sexual consent very likely is going to be, at least on some spheres, on the level of should I ask my own wife as well? Answer is yes, of course, but we saw that there was so much kind of a misunderstanding or I don't know, so much of the attitude that this is not a real question. So we wanted to bring in more arguments, more experiences from the countries who have been going already through that journey, which we have undertaken here. So yeah, we organized the forum. We made many other public advocacy initiatives as well, organizing organizing presence in media, also doing a lot of work with politicians and with public service as well, explaining, providing them materials, bringing good experts, I know, from Karolinska Hospital or wherever to Estonia to enrich the debate. So that was what we did, and yeah, it started in 2024, but it also lasted in 2025, and now in 2026 it's in the Parliament, and right now I think it's the second reading there. So more or less I think it's if the political consensus does not change, then the yes means yes model will be approved quite soon. So that was what we wanted to achieve also. So really, I think necessary initiative in Estonia. And jumping to the other project we made in cooperation with your NGO grant was last year. Well, every year we're organizing the Orange Weeks or Orange Talks, as we rebranded it this year. It's 16 days of activism on the domestic violence issues, starting from 25th of November, which is the International Day of Ending Violence Against Women, till the December 10th, which is the National Human Rights Day. And this year, well, we took a focus, or we addressed the problem that domestic violence in Estonia is kind of a women's problem. Everywhere when I go, be it in a small meeting, in some offices, be it in a large forum, be it talking with experts, be it talking with journalists, usually the other people are women. The only man usually is the photographer from Delphi or whatever. So for some reason, and we can assume all the reasons, this is a female issue in Estonian society, and you can't solve the issue when you are leaving half of the society out of the discussion. So we took the aim was to get men talking about it as well. So we organized forum, we made some media presence, we organized different activism events, have had a public event in front of parliament where men came to read out the domestic violence reports police had piled up, and then so on and so on. So altogether we managed to put 64 more or less known men to talk about the issue. And also we onboarded lots of expertise from the Nordic countries. So we brought somebody from a Swedish organization called MAN here to share experiences and so on. And we are still, this is ongoing work. So that's what we did. I know.
Great, super, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. They're not as hard as I promised, but I was just, you mentioned achievements, some of you. So maybe we'll start now from this side, and Tavi, if you would just mention, you started talking about achievements, but if you would just mention maybe one, possibly two, but that you think were sort of the main achievements so far in the work under this project. What are the kind of things that come to mind? They don't necessarily need to be huge. I mean, they can be, small steps. But what would you think were, where did you feel that you were really getting somewhere? For yourselves or for a certain, part of the society or partners in other countries or what have you, but some word on achievement.
Well, for us, if we look at our projects, for example, the public discussion on the sexual consent law, well, there is a big success. We hopefully, fingers crossed, are passing the law with the yes means yes model. And I think 1.5 years ago, it was not quite sure that it will go that way. Of course, our initiative was not the only thing that turned, but turned the table. But I think we really managed to enlighten people, to bring on new arguments. The experts who came here, and well, we organized a small conference, and what happened was that several ministers, head of police, they were sitting there for the whole day to listen. That does not happen. The ministers, the head of the institutions, don't come to conference just to listen, usually. They are so occupied with other duties. But they came and they listened, they participated in the discussion. They had real questions, and there are real questions about this topic. But I think we managed to convince quite a lot of decision makers that this path is worth to take, and this is, well, it's not a path worth to take. It's obvious that we cannot just ignore the question. We have to protect the victims more. So that was what we actually achieved. And from the other project, well, we had 64 men talking. Most of them had never thought about this topic. And when we turned to them, they said, "Oh, but no, this is not my topic. I'm just a director of the central bank. What's my attitude? How am I touched by this topic, or what's my relations then?" Well, and if you explain that, but every 12 women has been missing from work because of the domestic abuse, for example, then they start thinking, okay, I have so mame people employed in central bank, okay, there is significant macroeconomic impact as well. So that kind of shifts that the people first time perhaps in their life start to think that, okay, but this is not some private issue somewhere, but this is an issue which affects every part of our society. It's so massive problem in Estonia, and also in other countries, in Nordics, in Baltics, in Europe, in Africa, wherever. It is quite similarly really strong and really underrated problem. So we managed a little bit to pull new speakers in the scheme, and also to get very many people and decision makers to think of the topic perhaps first time.
We sometimes keep thinking that the Nordic Council of Ministers is quite a small organization. We're a drop in the ocean, but we also know that every drop counts and every stream makes a river. I see this a little in a similar way. It's a step-by-step process. We know that some of the Nordic countries have similar legislation. We're going to be in the same boat because it's a difficult one. The legislation is incredibly important. It's also very much a statement. Yeah. It's a position.
It's a value.
It's a value. Implementation is difficult, of course, as we know. It's very much word against word, and that's where some of the difficulties ahead, of course, also lie. I'm sure there's work also to do there. But then let's move, Hendrik, achievements from your end. I love the story, of course, about trees, and you know, fires is probably something that, again, climate change and other issues. Iceland is now hit differently by these challenges. Estonia being able to assist and help and provide some knowledge about how you are dealing with this problem here. But what would you say otherwise about achievements? Anything that comes to mind that you feel an area where we're really getting somewhere?
Yeah, I think the one thing that is really important for Estonia and really important for us is the fact that our organization, the Estonian Rescue Association, is meant to empower communities and meant to empower volunteer rescuers around Estonia. And as you said, it might be that the project is just a small drop, but the effect that BIA and we together have as a team is that the small drop, we can actually make it an ocean because we're so cost effective with all the stuff. So actually the real cost of the project is much more larger, but the idea that comes from it and the fact that we have now 30 plus Estonian volunteer rescuers who are capable to rescue in new situations and with new knowledges, and vice versa in Iceland, who can now go up to the rescuers and say that you don't have to teach us, we know what we're doing, to just give us the tools and we're going to do it. So it's actually really nice to know that something like that exists, and that's the main point of our project and the organization. So we call it a huge achievement to actually give something to the interior security.
I think that's really interesting. A project can also be a multiplier effect. You start with something that might look small, exactly. But the multiplier effects of getting more individuals interested and engaged in the work is incredibly important. Let's move to Mick. Any thoughts from your end in terms of achievements?
Yeah, I think all of our research trips have been very successful. I mean, it's so important in the art field to meet people because like art can't exist in a vacuum. So it's so important to go out there, talk to people face to face, see artworks and share your experiences and struggles, because what you really see through these projects is that people who work in the art field struggle everywhere. There's always problems with funding. People are overworked. So yeah, it's really important to meet these people and talk about it. And also our internship program has been hugely successful. You can really trace like people's careers, how they, because we do like these 1 up to 2 month internships abroad, and people really get the experience of working abroad and developing these super valuable connections that will be useful throughout the whole career. Also, I started as a borderline poetics intern a couple of years ago. And after that, I stayed to work at the CCA. So yeah, it's been great.
The value of internships, and I think many of us know that those interns might show up after a few years somewhere around us in the fields of our work. We also have an intern actually starting in a couple of weeks. She will be, among other things, building an internship program for us. She doesn't know that yet, but I believe very strongly in internship. I think that's an incredible method, because those interns will eventually be shaping the business as we move ahead. All right, Krista, what thoughts from your end when it comes to achievements? What do you feel, something that you're particularly proud of, or where you managed to move the agenda further, or anything else that comes to your mind?
Maybe the most important thing is connection between the people, because we are reorganizing the whole system in our city level, and rather new team who was taking part of this study tours. And I'm very thankful that we can changing the names and the members of teams who is going to these study trips. And the second thing is how to prepare. What are you seeking for? Which type of best practices would you like to go deeper and to see how they looks like? Because we can see our future in Oslo maybe more as 10 years future, and in Helsinki maybe a little bit near future, how it looks like, because the teams are bigger there, they have a little bit more financial possibilities comparing us, but we can find our real niche, because we have great luck to work together with Valdar Liive. The greetings, thank you very much. I can see Valdar here. He helps us a lot because he asking very good question as the partner from Finnish side. What are you exactly looking for? And then we are deciding that's the test bed and cooperation between universities, between companies, and then we can choose the best practices and go deeper there and find how we can in Tallinn to start these small little projects. For example, one project was about 60,000 euros to gather amount, and how they can manage it with 6 months and improve these different solutions going through the test bed in Helsinki.
Yeah, thank you. You are moving right into actually my next question, which is about the partnerships and the cooperation between Baltic states, or Nordic and Baltic states. You have worked with different countries, all four of you. Of course, I might be preaching to the choir in here in arguing that this is the most integrated region of the world. But if we would just continue on that point a little bit, Mick, maybe if I move to you, as Krista was just identifying this. But when it comes to these partnerships with the other countries, be they Baltic or Nordic, why is it valuable to work with them? Or what has that given your organization, or what do you feel has it given to your partners? Why is that a good thing?
Mm-hmm. I think especially in the past few years, I guess you can also trace it down to COVID times. It was when people started to be more and more interested in working more locally, because before there was always this goal to look towards the West, and that was the kind of goal. But people have been more and more interested in the closer region and seeing what's interesting and valuable here, and there's so much. Also the political situation, it's so important for us to be connected here through culture. I think it's one of the one of the more valuable things that comes through culture. It's this soft power that unites people.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And Henrik, from your end, when it comes to these partnerships and working with the other countries, anything in addition to what your colleagues here have been saying?
Well, to add up to that the when crisis hits, something happens. In Estonia, let's say it's a natural disaster, is it a war catastrophe, whatever happens, it's not going to be the French, the Germans, or the United States that's going to be here. It's going to be the Finnish, it's going to be the Latvians, the Lithuanians, the Swedish, the Norwegians, and even the Icelandic people who were the first one to recognize us as a sovereign state back in 1991. So I think to focus on our friends who have been our friends since forever and will be our friends till forever. Just focus on them, and then we'll be much safer.
It's of course, we have an entirely different political and geopolitical situation since a few years back. It's very hard to see anything good coming out of the situation that we're in and Russia's unprovoked war against Ukraine. But if we were to see anything, or at least try, I think it would be actually what you're indicating, which is bringing the Nordic and Baltic and the wider Baltic region together. And that's something, of course, that's very valuable, much beyond politics and security. Kaljulaid Foundation, any additional thoughts from your end when it comes to working with the other countries? We're more or less in the same boat when it comes to this legislation and the problems in practice, but what do you feel you have gained?
Yeah, as my colleagues here already have mentioned, there are this philosophical aspect, and yes, to add on that, I think the situation has changed so much that if some years ago, I think the general understanding was that however it will go, we have at least the Americans who can support us. That's not there anymore, and I think naturally evolutionary approach is that people stick to the ones who are similar, and we are similar. So yeah, that's the philosophical aspect, and then we need to strengthen the ties on every level. But going to practical, well, as we are dealing quite a lot with empowering the vulnerable groups and gender equality and that kind of issues, then even without those programs, we would turn to the Nordic councils, Nordic countries, because well, you are, I think, most advanced on those issues globally. So that would be a natural turn to us and to hear not your overarching wisdom, but if I've been going through those journeys which we are taking here, so to hear the expertise, what has been working, what has not going so well, and so on, to learn from your practice, that has been would have been there for us anyway, a reasonable place to look at, and your programs well, are ideal for that. Now, turning to the other Baltic countries, it's a bit more difficult. I think Estonian society as such has quite a strong handicap in knowing what's going on in Latvia and Lithuania, or understanding those societies. We don't know anything about Latvia and Lithuania. We know much more about Finnish politics or what's going in Swedish economy. We are catching up a bit more and more with Latvians and Lithuanians, but still I think somehow the gap there is really, really big, and that kind of programs a little bit are nudging ourselves also to look more, because actually there is a lot going on. They are doing well. Our societies have quite a different nuances here and there, But still, we have been reaching out to several organizations and building coalitions there and then cooperation, and it's really, really worth to see, and there are a lot more similarities than differences. So that has been a bit of a push because of the program, perhaps I would say, than a natural instinct to turn to see what's going on in Lithuania. But I think by the end of the day, we are really grateful for that opportunity. I don't know, was I too honest?
No, I think actually that was an interesting point, because we sometimes bring this up in our own offices, because we feel very much the same.
Yeah.
And as much as we try, I mean, we have one of our colleagues from our office in Lithuania here today.
But she speaks Estonian. How many of you speak Lithuanian? Less than one.
She also speaks Scandinavian and whatnot. So this is a talented mind. But I think that sometimes the work that we do with the Nordic countries and with also forces us to actually work more with our Baltic neighbors. And that's we talk about that sometimes. That's a good result or consequence or whatever you want to call it. But we probably need to move further that direction. We are in the same boat there as well, looking at everything from energy supply and other issues. We are facing similar challenges. I don't want to keep you much longer from coffee and some snacks outside, so I would just like to ask the panel quickly, is there any final advice? We have a group in here, and of course also those who are listening online. We have a wide range of colleagues and organizations represented here. We have people working for municipalities. We have individuals representing stroke patients. We have individuals working in sports associations. We have those engaged with ministries. We have really a wide set of individuals and representatives here. Is there any one of you who feels like there's any piece of advice that you would give anyone? I love the advice from Kaljulaid in it's not always just the financial support, but it's also working together. Can we do this? Can we do that? What do you think? That kind of brainstorming together, I think is excellent. There are some areas that we know perhaps better, and some that we're not quite as strong in. But is there any one of you who feel like there's a piece of advice? Krista?
Yes, be curious. Don't afraid. You can find good ideas from everywhere.
Yeah, very good piece of advice. Anybody else? Any suggestion for anyone here along the way? Hendrik, you look like you want to say something.
Yes, I look like I want to say something, but actually I was thinking with my mouth open, so I'm just gonna start speaking, and maybe there's some advice coming out because I already started speaking. But I think the hint, the idea, what to take is just do it. Yes, because when you're hesitant if you want to do it or not, or what you want to write, just go with it. And if you have a great idea, you'll most probably be successful in it. Just don't do it is the part to which if there's a bad idea. And I'm pretty sure everyone here can just see which is a great idea. Yes, and I would like to, one remark to a colleague here is that he said that we don't know anything about Latvia, but we do know, because we have this one guy, Ragnar Gond, Taani, Latvia, so, but Lithuania, nothing, no, thank you.
This is, what you say is very much how I see the Estonian society. I see it as a very pragmatic society. I see Estonians as doers. We see laws sometimes passed in a few weeks. And, maybe they're not perfect, but then I also see that people are willing to, fix it. And then, you try something, just like Hendrik says. Try it.
Can I tell you a joke?
And then, we can reflect a little bit and see, and then we fix whatever doesn't go well. But I like that advice as well.
Can I tell you a joke?
Oh, yes.
Do you know what are the two words why Ragnar Gond is in Latvia constantly?
The two words, what?
Why he's there?
No.
Per diem.
All right. On that happy note, I do not want to keep you any longer from coffee and from mingling and finding all different kinds of discussions and advice from each other. And with that, we also say thank you very, very much for joining us today, both here physically in Tallinn and of course everyone who's online. And now it's time for coffee and further discussions. Thank you very, very much.